raised Lebanon on the edge of another Israeli occupation. Israel said on Monday that it has launched a limited and targeted operation in the south of Lebanon. The army has recalled 450,000 reservists to Israel's northern border.
ראש הממשלה בנימין נתניהו ואני הנחינו את צה"ל לפעול ולהרוס את תשתיות הטרור בכפרי המגע סמוכי הגבול בלבנון כדי למנוע איומים ואת חזרת החיזבאללה למקום בדיוק כפי שהדבר נעשה מול החמאס בעזה באזורי רפיח, בית חנון.
What Israel means by destroying terror infrastructure is this: razing entire border villages to the ground to create a buffer zone, just as it did in Rafah in southern Gaza and in Beit Hanun in the north. And it has been preparing the ground for this. Even before this latest round of fighting, during a so-called ceasefire with Hezbollah that lasted a little over a year, Israel attacked Lebanon more than 15,000 times. It destroyed more villages and homes during the ceasefire than it did during the war in 2024. Their goal? To permanently empty border villages, making areas of southern Lebanon uninhabitable. Israel routinely targeted bulldozers and excavators, thwarting any attempts at reconstruction in the south. It is also carrying out a campaign of ecocide, spraying herbicides linked to cancer on farmland, using white phosphorus and incendiary bombs to burn agricultural land and forests. Israeli expulsion orders have not been limited to border villages. Earlier this month, it issued a sweeping expulsion order for a large area of the south that reaches more than 40 kilometers deep into Lebanon. More than 1 million people have been forcibly displaced.
So the Lebanese government will be faced with a quasi-occupied land, but mainly with a lot of people's influx to the north of the Litani, which is potentially unbearable for the Lebanese government and the society. It will cause frictions, it will cause problems. Maybe it is part of the Israeli calculus also. So Hezbollah will become more an internal problem than it is today a problem for Israel itself. So it is transforming the conflict from a conflict with Israel into a conflict between Lebanese.
After taking office more than a year ago, the Lebanese government announced a plan for the disarmament of Hezbollah, as per the terms of a 2024 ceasefire. And while the Lebanese army has been able to dismantle military infrastructure in areas near the border with Israel, with Hezbollah's cooperation, the group refuses to disarm elsewhere in the country because it says that is not part of the ceasefire deal. And any attempts to use force to disarm Hezbollah, which has a large support from the Shia community, could risk civil strife.
Now the question, I think, is no more from Israel a pressure on Lebanon to continue the plan of disarmament. I think they have come to the conclusion that Lebanon won't do it. They will do it their way. That will ultimately, at least in the last steps, will need either a ground invasion of Lebanon by Israel, which I think is not in the calculus, and they know that this will be very costly and probably it will be counterproductive at some point.
On Monday, the leaders of Canada, Germany, France, Italy, and the UK said Israel must avoid mounting a large-scale ground offensive into Lebanon. But when asked whether the US supports an Israeli invasion of South Lebanon, that's what Trump had to say.
It's a certain area, because I was with the other night a person whose parents live in Lebanon. This is a very substantial person, wealthy person, whose parents live in Lebanon. I said, really? How do you live in Lebanon? Your parents are living? Oh yeah, they live there. And over the years, they've gotten used to the fact that it's being bombed. But they explained to me that it's really a different section of Lebanon. It's the section where Hezbollah is. And they get used to it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, people live in Ukraine. You would think they wouldn't live in Ukraine, but they live in Ukraine.
Israeli media reports say the army's 36th Division is participating in the operation. This same division oversaw the occupation of the southern Syrian Golan Heights in 1967 and participated in the 1978, 1982, and 2006 Israeli invasions of Lebanon. Over the last week, Israel has targeted and destroyed several key bridges spanning the Litani River in an attempt to isolate the south of Lebanon from the rest of the country. Across Israel's political spectrum, many prominent politicians have openly voiced their support for the idea of Greater Israel.
אתה מתחבר לחזון?
מאוד.
באמת?
מאוד.
לישראל השלמה.
המנדט שלנו על ארץ ישראל הוא תנ"כי, גבולות ארץ ישראל התנ"כיים הם ברורים.
רגע, אז עקרונית ארץ ישראל השלמה, גדולה?
עקרונית ארץ ישראל השלמה והגדולה והרחבה, כמה שאפשר בגבולות הביטחון הישראלי וניהולי המדיניות הישראלית.
That's a vision long invoked by ultranationalist Israelis that calls for territorial expansion to encompass Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and parts of Syria, Iraq, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. It was even endorsed by US Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee during an interview with Tucker Carlson.
Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis.
Yeah.
You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all.
Israel says its operation is limited and targeted, but it has forced the mass displacement of a quarter of Lebanon's population, and it has targeted more than 14% of the country with expulsion orders. So what are its limits exactly?